I'm assuming it's the only division that's the case. I'll bet it is, if we were allowed to bet. So it's something to think about. It's a big deal, but it's a game, So it's like any big game. There's a lot riding on, and there's a lot to earn, But you got to go play a winning football game. You got to go play the type of game that can beat a really good football team in their stadium, when the stakes are really high, And I know they feel the same way, but it's our responsibility to take care of us.
John Harbaugh from earlier in the week, the Ravens head coach, acknowledging the reality that the Ravens could be the first ever three-peat AFC North champion, a division that was first formed back in 2002 when the Texans joined the NFL and everything realigned. Interesting fact, but the past championships don't matter. All that matters at this point is Sunday night and the consequences to the loser. I really do think, Chris, and good morning, the show is PFT Live.
Hey, good morning to you.
We'll get to that at some point. But I do think that the NFL picked that game for Sunday night instead of the more impactful to the standings Seahawks-49ers game because of the stakes for the loser. And whoever loses is going to have some stuff go on, and I think that just increases the drama. It puts the tightrope even higher. It pulls the net even farther away for whoever loses the game.
Yeah, I hear you there. I think there's great theater in the game, right? I mean, there's like, wait, if Pittsburgh loses, could it be the end of Tomlin and the Steelers in the era? If Baltimore loses, I mean, we know that there's people that think that could end up going separate ways. Harbaugh and the Ravens organization. And then on top of that, we don't know if Lamar Jackson's playing, so that adds the intrigue. And it could be the last game Aaron Rodgers ever plays in his career. So that's why it's awesome that we're going to be there. The games on Saturday are good. They're important, certainly, and that NFC West showdown is big time. And probably the game of the weekend, no doubt about that. But there's some storylines in this one that are pretty damn special, and that setting with this kind of rivalry is going to be pretty important for everybody. It's going to get big ratings, and I know I'm pumped to be there.
And no matter the outcome for the Ravens, if they make it to the playoffs, if they win a playoff game or two, now if they would get to the Super Bowl, that would probably go a long way toward resolving the issue, but there is that question about what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. The more I talk about it, the more I think about it, the more I've written about it. I think they are just going to sit back and wait and see if someone makes them an offer they can't refuse. They're not going to shop him. They can't do that. They can't blow up the relationship because unless you can trade him to someone who would give you what you want and give him what he wants, you got to find a way to keep working together.
Right.
Maybe they'd like to move on if they could, but they have to be prepared to continue with the relationship. And that Mike Preston column in the Baltimore Sun last week, I think it was a combination of message to Lamar and message to the world.
Right.
That there is reason to pick up the phone and call. Just like there's reason to pick up the phone and call the Bengals about Joe Burrow. Even though Joe Burrow isn't going to initiate anything and the Bengals aren't going to initiate anything, there's reason to call them up and say, hey, how would you like this for your franchise quarterback? You try to get their attention. I just don't think anyone's going to do it because there's just too much. You got to make the Ravens happy. You got to make Lamar happy, and you become the team that has trouble communicating and negotiating with Lamar Jackson because he doesn't have an agent.
Yeah, no, that's what's hard. Getting in contact with Lamar Jackson has been a tough thing no matter who you are his whole career. I mean, I've heard Ray Lewis talk about not being able to get in contact with Lamar Jackson, so that just says it all there. He's a little different that way in how he operates, right? And I think in a lot of ways, you're right. They got to be delicate here with the Lamar Jackson situation. I think you and I both know we feel there's something there. We know enough people to know it's not perfect between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. All right, that I think anybody in the NFL that's in the know at all kind of feels that and knows that to a degree. But at the same time, okay, a little friction between quarterback and organization. That's not the first time we've ever heard of that story. And at the other part of it is, yeah, Baltimore's got to be a little careful. One, I mean, come on, it's freaking Lamar Jackson. So you just don't like part ways with that very easily. It's one of the greatest we've ever seen in the sport. He's special that way. We know he's got a big voice within that team, and you certainly don't want to ruin that relationship or anything there. So I know we all have the thought about maybe he'll try to make his way back to Miami. I don't know if I really think that's feasible this offseason at least, but regardless, yes, this adds to the intrigue of this game and where it goes and if he plays and will he suck it up and try to make it happen even at less than 100%. Those are all the things we're interested in seeing here.
He turns 29 1 week from today. And I think the factor that the Ravens have to put on their radar screen, if they haven't already put it there, at what point is Lamar Jackson going to start to wear down? At what point is he physically not going to be able to do what he's done? Whether it's the incredible high-end skill set that we've seen fuel 2 different MVP awards since 2019, or just the accumulation of bumps and bruises and wear and tear and injury here and injury there. And when you factor in the thing Preston pointed out about diet and taking care of your body and getting the right amount of sleep, all those things, it's one thing when you're 25. Now you're pushing 30. Are you still going to be able to play the way that you've become accustomed to playing? And is it going to manifest itself in all of a sudden Lamar Jackson's not Lamar Jackson anymore? That's where I think the Ravens have to at least be pondering what could happen. Right.
I think that's where at the root of the Ravens' frustration is a little bit of that and what we're talking about. And maybe that they want Lamar to be just a little more detailed in his approach on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, right? So that certainly. And then we know all the absences from practice, from being sick and not taking care of the body, and the body getting worn out to a degree. And, of course, injuries. And this is, 3 out of the last 5 years he's kind of missed time at the end of the year. So from a pure football standpoint, yes, I understand the Ravens having those thoughts. Totally do. And I'll say this on top of it. And I don't think, you can disagree with me if you like. We haven't seen those magical plays from him this year a whole lot, right? I know he got injured. But there is a part, and you've heard me talk about it. I broke it down on my podcast. He certainly is not as fast as he was before the hamstring. Even before the hamstring, I went, all right, he's 29. He might have lost a half a step, but damn, he's still really fast. Then he came back from the hamstring, and I went, he's still fast, don't get me wrong, but he's lost a little there, right? And then we've heard Chris Collinsworth talk about it on Sunday Night Football a few weeks ago that, yes, when they put the GPS on him and all that type of stuff, he's like 3 miles per hour slower right now. So maybe they see some of that stuff and they want him to be a little bit more professional in his approach on a day-to-day basis, and that's why we kind of hear, these rumblings out there.
You caught my attention. I know we need to move forward, but you caught my attention with that GPS comment. That's the kind of thing, and I don't know who has access to what the player data tracking devices generates. I would assume that the teams keep that to themselves. And I would assume that somebody from the team told Collinsworth that before the game that was played in Baltimore between the Patriots and the Ravens. That's the kind of thing that would piss Lamar off.
I'm sure.
Just that fact being out there would piss him off. I believe he was pissed off that the fact came out in the secret for 5 months collusion grievance ruling, where it was testified to that one of the issues in negotiating with him was he said the microphone on his phone was broken, and other details about his negotiations. He wants everything to be secret, and that's okay. A lot of people want everything to be secret. One of the frustrating things if you're an NFL player is you can find out in less than 5 minutes what their career earnings are. And, of course, it doesn't point out taxes, fees, other expenses, and how much you actually have. It just says your gross total earnings. It's all out there. It's all out there. When Lamar Jackson was negotiating his contract with the Ravens the first time around, I mean, confidentiality of contract and all that stuff, like there are certain things you just can't do.
Yeah.
And I think there are certain things he wanted that we just can't do. So just the fact that someone possibly, if not probably, told Collinsworth about him being 3 miles per hour slower. That'll piss him off.
Well, I'm
once
sure
that's out there.
but
off.
that's one where I don't think is intended to do that or anything there. Right, I think it's one of those.
I know, but they know him well enough to know that it will.
Maybe you're right. And I will say, I could see how that conversation goes down. Collinsworth talking to the coaches, talking to people, going, "Hey, he's not running as much. You guys aren't running him as much." And they kind of look at him and go, "Well, he hurt his hamstring and he hasn't really been back to 100%. In fact, the GPS says he's actually 3 miles per hour slower." I could see how that goes down. They're not trying to, anger him, but you're right. I mean, those kind of things that get let out publicly probably would anger a guy like Lamar Jackson, certainly. I hope he's on the damn field Sunday night.
Way.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one thing for us to watch a game and say Lamar doesn't look like Lamar. It's another thing to hear he's 3 miles per hour slower on the GPS.
Right.
That's a tangible, objective, undeniable fact. It's otherwise, is he? No, 3 miles per hour slow. Wow, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. 3 miles per hour is a lot.
It's a lot.
If you have him running at top speed, old Lamar, new Lamar, go run at top speed for an hour. One guy is going to win the race by 3 miles. That's what that means. That's a lot. So, not that they can run at top speed for an hour, but you get my point. That's a big difference in overall velocity. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.